Hello children, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to online scholars classes. And in the last class we might have seen about, we have learned about the force and types of forces, isn't it? So we'll elaborate the contents today in this class, isn't it? So we have seen in the last class that the force is force has been classified into two ways, that is contact force and non-contact force. So contact force again broadly classified into four categories, that is muscular contact force and friction force, normal force as well as tension force. But the non-contact force again, it has three types. One is magnetic, electrostatic and gravitational force. Today this part has been completed in the last class itself, so just I recall. Now we will enter into in detail about the contact forces. We have learned that the contact force is existing between the two objects when they are in contact with each other, then only the contact force exists, otherwise no. So non-contact force means when two objects are far away, that means they were situated in a far away or further distance. If the force exists between them, then it comes under the non-contact force. So today we will see about the four categories of contact force. So I will give you a small detailed description. See, the force exerted by our muscles, not only we have living beings also, many. So if the living beings exerts the force with the help of the muscles, then it comes under the muscular contact force. So best example, see, you will do many activities with your muscles itself, your body, by touching. Say for example, if I want to lift this duster, so I have to stretch my fingers, that means I have to use my muscles, then only the force, otherwise then only the duster may be lifted, otherwise it is not possible. That means it comes under the category called muscular force. Say for example, ox, bull, buffaloes, they are used by the farmers in fields. That means with the help of the muscles they will apply the force. Okay, then only the muscular force exists. That means this comes under what? The contact force. And the most important force, that is friction force. Friction force. What is this friction force? Friction force is nothing but a resistance to the applied force. For example, you may play in your classroom sometimes. If suppose one boy is pushing the bench from one side, if the other boy is also pushing the same bench in opposite side, that means exactly opposite to you, isn't it? That means whatever the force you are offering to that bench, if suppose the other person applies the same equal force, then what happens to the bench? The bench never moves. I think you have this experience. That means he is offering a resistance to your force, nothing but he is offering the frictional force to you. See, we use many objects in our daily life. Example, the best example is carrom board. Nowadays, during this lockdown period, you might have played this one. See, if you want to move the coin or the striker, what you are using? Yes, your answer is right. What is that? You are using some powder. Without powder, what happens to the coins? The coins, of course, they move, but within no time they comes to rest. That means they have been stopped by the board or the surface. That means if the surface is not smooth, then what happens? It offers the resistance to the coins, then the coins comes to rest. That's why to avoid these problems, you add some flour or some powder, so that it makes the surface very smooth, so that the coin will be moving very fastly. So see, the surface of the carrom board is offering a resistance to your coins. That's why the coins are not moving. So in that case, the friction is more, isn't it? So you want to reduce the friction. In other words, see, without knowing the concept of friction in your daily life, you are reducing the friction. Yes, it is amazing. See, without knowing the concept of friction, you are using that powder. What for? To reduce the friction. Friction is nothing but opposing force or resistance to the applied force. You are offering this force, but the board is offering opposing force. That's why it is not moving. Say, without friction, say for example, if you want to run or walk on the floor is offering friction to you, isn't it? if that friction is not there, assume that, can you imagine what are the consequences? If you just put your feet on the floor, then what happens? It goes down. I think so you might have entered into, what is that, fields, isn't it? So if the field is, or if that area is very mud, or it is covered with mud, so what happens when you just, as you are getting down into the mud water, immediately your leg may goes inside. And even sometimes you might have having this experience of, while placing your foot on what, the banana peel, immediately there is a possibility, for example, on the floor, if some water or oil is there, again you know the consequence. That means, see, if the floor is not offering the resistance, we may not run, stand or walk. Even the same way as I am writing with the marker on the board, if the board is not offering the friction on this pen, what happens? The pen may goes inside. If you want to sleep on the bed should offer the resistance, then only. See, all these comes under the category of friction. See, now in our daily life, the friction is very, very important. In some cases, in some examples, friction is, we require higher friction in our daily life. That is like walking, sleeping, running, writing, eating, all these cases, we should have the friction in a higher quantity. But in some instances, like carom board playing, while fetching water from the well, you need to have less friction. Of course, this is the rainy season, you require more friction to ride your bicycle. Otherwise, what happens? Due to the rainwater or the water stagnated on the road, due to that you may fall down on the ground or on the road, because the friction will be reduced between the tire as well as the road. That's why, due to this situation, your cycle may skid or you may fall on the ground. In that cases, the friction is highly required, but in some cases friction is no required. That means there is no requirement of the friction in it. That means altogether the conclusion is, friction is essential as well as both. It is having advantages as well as disadvantages in our daily life. And coming to the third concept, that is normal force. Say for example, a simple, place your science textbook on any floor. So for example, not only science textbook, I am holding my marker on my palm. So of course there is a gravitational force. Without due to this gravitational force, the marker may fall on the ground. So who is stopping my marker to fall on the ground? Who? Your answer is right, it's my palm. Without this palm or my hand, without this help of my hand or palm, definitely this marker may fall on the ground. That means my hand is offering a force in upward direction. Please note this point. See, my hand or the palm is offering upward force to lift this object, but this object wants to come down due to the gravitational force. So the force is acting here, force is acting in upward direction, which is perpendicular to this surface. Mathematics, a little mathematics is required here. See, the force is in upward direction, nothing but perpendicular to this horizontal position. That force is called as a normal force. Normal is nothing but this one, or else this one, isn't it? And the last one is tension force. You have an experience of playing with the swing, isn't it? Or else sometimes fetching the water from the well. So you will tie a rope to the bucket. That means with the help of the rope, okay, with the help of the rope or the rubber, the bucket is suspended. If the rope is not firmly fixed to this, what happens? Immediately, due to the gravitational force, it may falls down, isn't it? So the type of force which acting on the above of this object, isn't it? See here, this is the rope and here it is another object. So with the help of the rope, I am able to suspend this object, and this is acting again, it is on upward direction. Remember, the concept is same between normal and tension. In normal force, the force is acting on a particular body from downward, whereas in tension force, the bodies will be suspended from the top surfaces. That is the difference between the normal force as well as tension force. I will give you a small clarity again. Normal force is nothing but the force perpendicular to the object's position, which always acts at a downward position or at the bottom. But on the tension force, coming on side of this tension force, the bodies are suspended with the help of some support, but they act at a top position of the objects. So these are all the major concepts about the contact force. So contact forces are of 4 types: muscular force, friction force, normal force, as well as tension force. And I think so these details I might have given in your last class, that is magnetic force, electrostatic force, as well as gravitational force. Magnetic force you have learned in your lower classes, playing with magnets in 6th class, isn't it? It's an attractional force or repulsion forces, even though they are not in contact with each other. And electrostatic force, of course most of the people you might have done this experiment. So please comb your hair, dry hair with a comb, and place this comb nearer by a small pieces of papers, and dramatically the papers will start attracting this comb. That means the comb is attracting the small pieces of papers. Even the comb and the papers are not in contact with each other. That is called as the electrostatic force also comes under the non-contact force. And the third one is a gravitational force. Gravitational force, as you know very well, I need not to explain. See, the earth and the objects are not in contact with each other, even though the earth starts attracting all the objects. Okay, there exists a force between the two objects without the physical quantity is physical contact. That is called as a non-contact force, isn't it? Is it clear? And in the next class we will see about the net force. What is net force? And we'll have some problems that I will discuss in the next class. And even we are going to deal with the pressure topic, isn't it? Pressure property as well as contact surface area. We'll discuss these topics in the next class. But up to here, please follow the textbook and the examples. If you know in your daily life, you please put it in the paper and maintain the notes, isn't it? Follow our links, and you please be back of the WhatsApp groups. Whatever the information we are posting in your groups, please follow it. Okay, that's all for today's class. Thank you very much.